The research vessel Endeavour hung in the darkness between two distant stars, its metal hull scarred from the dangerous journey through the asteroid field. Inside the ship, something terrible was happening. Captain James Mitchell walked quickly through the narrow corridors toward the medical bay. His boots made sharp sounds on the metal floor. The emergency alarm had been ringing for 20 minutes now, and he could hear crew members talking in worried voices behind their cabin doors. When he reached the medical bay, the sight made his stomach drop. 5 beds were filled with crew members who looked very sick. Their skin was pale and wet with sweat. Some were shaking. Others lay very still, breathing in short, quick gasps. Dr. Vex, the ship's alien medical officer, stood near the main computer screen. His tall, thin body was covered in smooth blue skin that usually glowed softly. Today that glow was very dim, almost gray. His large black eyes looked frightened. "Captain," Dr. Vex said in his musical voice, "we have a serious problem. 17 crew members are now infected with something we cannot identify." Mitchell looked at the nearest bed. Ensign Tom Davis lay there, his young face twisted in pain. Tom was only 22 years old. He had joined this mission because he wanted to explore space and help build friendship between humans and aliens. Now he might die far from Earth, far from his family. "What kind of sickness is it?" Mitchell asked. Dr. Vex touched the computer screen with one long finger. Strange symbols and numbers appeared. "We do not know, Captain. This pathogen, this disease, is unlike anything in our medical databases. Our scanners cannot understand its structure. It attacks the body's defenses in ways we have never seen before." On another bed, a Zenthari crew member was breathing very slowly. The Zenthari were peaceful people who looked almost like humans but had silver skin and white hair. This one's silver skin was turning dark gray. "How many different species are infected?" Mitchell asked. "4 species total," Dr. Vex replied. "The disease affects each species differently, but it is killing all of them. We have already lost 3 crew members, 2 Corvani and 1 Zenthari. The Corvani were small, cat-like creatures with fur and large eyes. They were excellent engineers and had helped design many parts of the ship. Now their advanced knowledge meant nothing against this invisible killer." Mitchell watched as a human medic tried to help Ensign Davis drink some water. The young man could barely swallow. His hands were shaking badly. "Doctor, your people have the most advanced medical technology in the galaxy," Mitchell said. "If you cannot cure this, then these people will die, Captain," Dr. Vex said quietly. "I'm sorry. We have tried every treatment in our databases. We have used our best quantum scanners and healing devices. Nothing works. This disease seems designed to resist all known medical treatments." Mitchell felt anger rising in his chest, but he kept his voice calm. He walked to the communication panel on the wall and pressed several buttons. "This is Captain Mitchell of the GCS Endeavour calling any human medical ships in this sector. We have a Code Black medical emergency. Repeat, Code Black. We need immediate assistance." The response came faster than expected. Static filled the air, then a clear female voice spoke. "Captain Mitchell, this is Commander Lisa Parker aboard the UHMS Mercy. We received your emergency signal. What is your situation?" "Commander, we have multiple crew members from 4 different species infected with an unknown pathogen. Our coalition medical systems cannot treat it. We have already lost 3 people." There was a pause. Then, "Understood, Captain. We are calculating jump coordinates now. Our estimated arrival time is 14 hours if we push our engines past normal safety limits. Commander, I should warn you, we have some of the best alien medical technology on this ship, and it has been completely useless against this disease." Another pause. When Commander Parker spoke again, her voice was firm. "Captain, we're coming anyway. Human medical teams don't give up easily." "Parker out." Dr. Vex looked confused. His large black eyes blinked slowly. "Captain, please do not think I mean disrespect to your species, but human medical technology is quite basic compared to ours. We have quantum healers, cellular regenerators, and medical computers that can analyze any biological threat. If our advanced systems cannot help these patients, what can human medicine possibly do?" Mitchell looked around the medical bay. He saw the gleaming alien medical devices with their flashing lights and smooth surfaces. Everything looked very advanced and impressive. But the beds were still filled with dying crew members. He thought about the human medical ships he had seen. They looked much simpler than alien ships. The equipment seemed old-fashioned. Human doctors still used basic tools and sometimes had to cut open patients to fix them. Alien medicine was much more gentle and precise. But Mitchell remembered something his grandfather had told him long ago. His grandfather had been a soldier in an old Earth war. He had said that sometimes the most advanced weapon was useless if you did not have the will to use it properly. "Doctor," Mitchell said, watching Ensign Davis struggle to breathe, "you are about to learn something important about humans. We have a saying, never give up, never surrender. Sometimes the most advanced technology is not what saves lives. Sometimes it takes something else." "What do you mean, Captain?" Mitchell smiled, but it was not a happy smile. "You'll see when the mercy arrives. Human medical teams are different. They don't just fight disease, Doctor. They fight death itself. And they never ever give up." Outside the ship, in the cold darkness of space, a white medical ship was racing toward them at dangerous speeds, its crew preparing for a battle that alien medicine had already lost. The UHMS Mercy appeared out of hyperspace like a white ghost. Its hull was old and scratched from many emergency flights through dangerous space. The ship moved quickly toward the Endeavor and attached itself with a loud metal sound. Dr. Emma Thompson stepped through the airlock first. She was a tall woman with short brown hair and tired eyes. Behind her came 4 other humans carrying simple metal boxes and bags. Their clothes were plain blue uniforms, not the fancy white robes that alien doctors wore. "How many sick?" Dr. Thompson asked Captain Mitchell without saying hello first. 23 now. We lost another Corvani an hour ago." Dr. Thompson's face became hard like stone. "Not happening again. Where's your medical officer?" Dr. Vex walked toward them, his blue skin very pale. "Dr. Thompson, I must tell you that this disease has defeated every treatment in our medical database. Our quantum scanners cannot even understand how it works. I fear your equipment will not be enough." Dr. Thompson opened one of her metal boxes. Inside were things that looked very old compared to the shining alien machines. She pulled out glass tubes, metal tools, and a device with needles. "Good thing we don't trust scanners to do all the work," she said. The other humans spread out through the medical bay. Dr. Michael Park went to Ensign Davis and stuck a needle into his arm to take blood. Nurse Rachel Hayes used a simple microscope to look at samples. Dr. David Foster mixed chemicals in glass containers like an old scientist. Dr. Vex watched with growing surprise. "What are you doing? These methods are very primitive. Why are you not using the medical computers?" "Because computers only know what they've been taught," Dr. Thompson said, looking at a drop of blood under her microscope. "Sometimes you need human eyes to see what machines miss." The alien crew members who were still healthy gathered to watch. They whispered to each other in their different languages. A Corvani engineer with golden fur shook his head. "This is crazy," the Corvani said in broken human language. "They are treating our people like test animals." Dr. Thompson heard this and turned around fast. "Test animals? Your fancy machines already gave up on these people. They're going to die if we do nothing. We're going to try everything, even things that haven't been invented yet." She walked to Ensign Davis's bed. The young man was breathing very weakly. His skin was gray and cold. Dr. Thompson studied the numbers on the machine next to his bed, then looked at his eyes with a small flashlight. "Tom, get me a complete blood test. Rachel, I want you to make an antiviral medicine using the protocols from the Mars colony disease outbreak." Dr. Vex stepped forward quickly. "Doctor, those protocols have a 30% death rate even under perfect conditions." Dr. Thompson stared at him. "And what's the death rate if we do nothing?" 100%. "I'll take 30% chance over certain death any day." The human medical team worked in a way that scared the alien watchers. They pushed tubes into patients' throats to help them breathe. They cut small holes in skin to put medicine directly into veins. They gave patients drugs that made them shake and feel sick, but might help them fight the disease. Dr. Park worked on a Zenthari crew member whose heart had stopped beating. He pressed hard on the alien's chest, pushing down again and again. The Zenthari's ribs made cracking sounds. Alien observers looked away in horror. "Why are you hurting him?" asked the Zenthari officer. "He's already dead. In our culture, we let the dead rest in peace." Dr. Park kept pushing on the chest. Sweat ran down his face. "He's not dead until I say he's dead. Come on, you stubborn alien, breathe." After 20 minutes of pushing, the Zenthari's heart started beating again. His eyes opened. The alien observers gasped in shock. Dr. Thompson moved from bed to bed like a general in battle. She shouted orders to her team. When a patient's condition got worse, she tried new treatments immediately. When one medicine didn't work, she tried another. She never stopped moving, never stopped fighting. "This is madness," Dr. Vex said to Captain Mitchell. "They are causing so much pain to these patients. Look at them suffer with each treatment." Captain Mitchell watched as Dr. Hayes gave painful injections to a young Corvani. The cat-like alien cried out, but Hayes continued with steady hands. "Doctor, what would you have done for that patient?" Mitchell asked. "We would have made him comfortable and helped him die without pain," Dr. Vex replied. "It is the merciful way." "And he would be dead now," Mitchell said. "Look at him." The Corvani was now sitting up in bed drinking water. His golden fur was starting to shine again. His large eyes were alert and looking around. Dr. Thompson heard their conversation. She walked over, her hands covered in different colors of alien blood. "You want to know the difference between our medicine and yours?" she asked Dr. Vex. "You try to avoid causing pain. We try to avoid causing death. Sometimes those two goals don't work together." A Zenthri medical student spoke up, "But our philosophy is to do no harm to the patient." "Our philosophy is to preserve life," Dr. Thompson replied. "Everything else comes second." She pointed to the beds where patients were starting to look better. "Yes, our treatments hurt. Yes, they're dangerous. But being dead hurts more." Dr. Hayes looked up from her workstation. She had been awake for 20 hours straight. "In human medicine we have a saying, the cure is often worse than the disease, but death is worse than both." The alien medical officers stood quietly, watching these humans work with controlled desperation. They used simple tools to do things that advanced alien medicine had said were impossible. They took risks that alien doctors would never take. They fought for patients that alien computers had already declared hopeless. "Your patients are afraid of you," observed a Corvani medical aide. Dr. Thompson gently checked a bandage on a human patient. "Maybe. But they trust us. And trust is more important than comfort when you're fighting for your life." The medical bay looked like a war zone. Human doctors and nurses moved between beds without stopping. They had been working for 20 hours straight. Their blue uniforms were dirty with blood and medicines from different alien species. Dr. Emma Thompson stood next to a bed where a Zenthri officer was breathing through a machine. She had just finished cutting open the alien's chest to fix his heart. The patient was alive, but the surgery had been painful and dangerous. Medical supervisor Kethvar watched from across the room. He was the most important Zenthri doctor on the ship. His silver skin was changing colors to show how upset he felt. Finally he could not stay quiet anymore. "This is wrong," Kethvar said in his musical voice. "You are making these patients suffer too much. Look at them, they are in pain with every treatment you give them." Dr. Thompson looked up from checking the Zenthri's bandages. Her hands were still bloody from the surgery. "And what was your plan? Make them comfortable while they died?" "Yes," Kethvar said firmly. "We believe in Kavathul, the peaceful transition. When a cure is not possible, we help patients die without pain. It is the kind way. The kind way." Dr. Thompson pointed to a bed where Ensign Martinez was sitting up and eating food. "Tell that to Martinez over there. Your scanner said she had 6 hours to live. That was 3 days ago." The alien doctors had been writing down everything the humans did. They could not understand how the human methods worked. The humans did things that seemed cruel. They took bone marrow from patients' bones, they gave strong medicines that made patients very sick, and they did experimental treatments that could kill the patients. Dr. Vex joined the conversation. "You are breaking every rule of medical ethics. Our first law is, do no harm." Dr. Thompson stopped working and looked at him with tired, angry eyes. "Our first law is, preserve life. Everything else comes after that." She walked to a young Corvani whose breathing had gotten better after a risky treatment. "You see harm in what we do because you only watch the treatment, not the result. Yes, this hurts. Yes, it's dangerous. But the choice is between pain and death." Dr. Rachel Hayes looked up from her computer. She had not slept in 2 days. "In human medicine we say, the cure is often worse than the disease, but death is worse than both. We don't try to avoid suffering, we try to make suffering have meaning." The differences between human and alien medicine became more clear as the hours passed. The aliens only gave patients medicine for pain when they thought the patient would die anyway. The humans gave pain medicine only when it would not interfere with treatment. The aliens believed that a conscious patient suffered more. The humans believed that conscious patients healed better. A young Corvani medical student watched as Dr. Thompson gave a painful injection to a Zenthri crew member. "Your patients are scared of you," the student said. Dr. Thompson gently cleaned the injection site. "Maybe they are scared. But they also trust us. There's a big difference. They know we will never stop fighting for them even when they cannot fight for themselves." Dr. Michael Park was working on a Corvani engineer whose liver was failing. The treatment required putting a tube directly into the alien's stomach. It was painful and dangerous, but it might save his life. In our culture, we would give him medicine to sleep peacefully until death comes, said a Corvani observer. Why do you make him endure this pain? Dr. Park continued his work with steady hands. Because sleeping peacefully means dying certainly. This pain might save his life. Which would you choose for someone you love? The alien medical officers gathered near the observation window. They were trying to understand what they were seeing. Captain Mitchell stood with them, watching his human crew work below. Captain, Kethvar asked quietly, I am very confused. You humans call your medical ships Mercy. But what I see here looks like the opposite. It looks like you are at war with death itself. Mitchell watched as Dr. Thompson helped a Zenthari patient sit up for the first time in days. The patient was weak but smiling. Doctor, what does mercy mean to your people? Mercy means reducing suffering. It means allowing natural death when cure is impossible. It means not forcing patients to endure hopeless pain. To us, Mitchell said, mercy means something different. Mercy means never giving up on someone. It means fighting for every life, no matter how small the chance of saving it. Dr. Foster had been listening to the conversation while treating a human patient. The difference is this, he said. You show mercy to the dying. We show mercy to the living. Even when someone is almost dead, we still see them as living. A Zenthari medical aide spoke up, but some of your patients will die anyway despite all this pain you cause them. How is that merciful? Dr. Hayes answered while checking on a patient who was recovering. Because they die knowing that someone fought for them. They die knowing their life mattered enough that people were willing to risk everything to save it. That's mercy too. The alien doctors watched as the human medical team continued their work. These humans pushed their patients through treatments that alien medicine would consider torture. But they also held patients' hands during painful procedures. They talked to unconscious patients as if they could hear. They celebrated every small improvement like it was a miracle. Your way requires great strength, Kethvar observed. From everyone, Dr. Thompson agreed. From the patients, from the families, from the medical team. Easy mercy, letting people die peacefully, only requires strength from the dying person. Hard mercy, fighting until the end, requires strength from everyone. Dr. Vex looked at the beds where patients were slowly getting better. And if the patient dies anyway after all this pain? Dr. Thompson smiled sadly. Then they die knowing they were worth fighting for. And we know we tried everything possible. That's the mercy we give to them and to ourselves. On the fourth day, Dr. Thompson called her medical team to a small room away from the patients. Her face looked very serious. The 5 human doctors and nurses sat around a table, all of them tired from working without sleep. The disease has changed, Dr. Thompson said, showing pictures on a small screen. It's getting stronger and our medicines don't work as well now. Worse than that, we found it in the air system. If this spreads to other ships. She didn't need to finish. Everyone understood. If the disease escaped the Endeavor, it could kill millions of people on different planets. Dr. David Park looked at his computer. Based on how fast it's changing, we have maybe 6 hours before our medicines stop working completely. 8 hours before it gets into space and spreads to other ships. What can we do? Asked Nurse Rachel Hayes. Dr. Park's voice was very quiet. There's one way. We could make a special medicine using human immune systems. Our bodies seem to fight this disease better than alien bodies. But what? Captain Mitchell asked from the doorway. But making this medicine would mean using our own white blood cells like tiny factories. The process could kill us or make us sick forever. We would be asking our immune systems to burn themselves out making the cure. The room became very quiet. The alien doctors who had been watching stood in the corner with worried expressions. In their cultures, medical people were too important to risk in dangerous experiments. Dr. Thompson looked at her team. Hayes, Park, Dr. Michael Foster, Nurse Jennifer Collins and medical technician Robert Turner. 5 humans who had already worked beyond what their bodies could handle to save people they barely knew. Anyone who wants to help can volunteer, she said simply. Anyone who wants to stay safe can leave now. No shame in that. I'm in, Hayes said immediately. Me too, said Park. One by one each person on the medical team volunteered. The alien observers watched in shock as these humans calmly talked about their possible deaths like they were discussing dinner plans. Kethvar, the senior Zenthari doctor, stepped forward. His skin was showing distress patterns. This is crazy. You cannot risk your entire medical team on an experimental treatment. The smart thing would be to leave the ship and put it in quarantine. And let everyone on this ship die while the disease spreads to other vessels? Dr. Thompson shook her head. Not acceptable. But why? Kethvar asked. These are not even your species. You barely know them. Your own survival should be more important. Dr. Foster, the youngest human doctor, was already preparing equipment. Because this is what we promised to do. When we became doctors, we promised to, first, do no harm. Sometimes preventing harm means accepting it yourself. The process began in the ship's laboratory. The 5 humans lay on medical beds while machines pushed their immune systems to work harder than human bodies were designed to handle. They watched each other's vital signs on screens, making adjustments even as their own bodies began to fail. Dr. Thompson was the first to show serious problems. Her hands started shaking badly as her immune system began attacking her own nervous system. Need to adjust batch 7, she whispered before falling unconscious. Hayes took over the work, but her condition was getting worse too. Michael, you need to finish making the medicine. My organs are starting to fail. The alien medical staff could only watch in horror and amazement as these humans literally destroyed their own biological systems to create a cure. When Park collapsed, Turner continued the work. When Turner's kidneys began shutting down, Collins took over even though her own health was failing. Through the laboratory windows, alien crew members gathered to watch. They saw humans sacrificing their lives for people they had known for only a few days. Some aliens began to cry in their own ways. 8 hours later they had done it. The synthesized medicine was ready, created from the sacrificed immune systems of 5 humans. They tested it quickly and found it worked perfectly, destroying the disease within hours. But the cost was terrible to see. Dr. Thompson could barely move her legs and would need help walking for the rest of her life. Hayes's body was attacking itself and she would be sick forever. Park had lost feeling in his hands and might never do surgery again. All of them had permanent damage from what they had done. When they gave the medicine to the sick crew members, the results were amazing. The disease died quickly in every patient. Ensign Davis sat up in bed for the first time in days. The Zen-3 officer whose heart had stopped was walking around. The Corvani engineer was laughing with his friends. As the crew of the Endeavour began to get better, the alien medical officers gathered around the weakened human medical team. They looked at these humans with a mixture of respect and confusion. Why? Kethvar asked simply. Why would you do this for people you barely know? Why would you destroy your own bodies? Dr. Thompson spoke slowly because her brain damage made talking difficult. She was using a walking aid to stay upright. Because that's what mercy means to humans. Not giving up. Not letting anyone die alone or forgotten. Fighting until there's nothing left to fight with. Dr. Hayes, whose voice was now raspy and weak, added, "We didn't see them as strangers. We saw them as people who deserved to live. People with families and dreams and futures. That was worth any price." The alien crew members began to understand something they had never seen before. These humans had risked everything for others without asking for anything in return. They had chosen to suffer so that others could live. "Your people are different," said a Corvani engineer, his golden fur bright again thanks to the cure. Dr. Foster smiled despite his weakened condition. "We're just doing our job. This is what human medical teams do. We fight death until we win or until there's nothing left to fight with." Outside, the UHMS Mercy waited in space, ready for the next impossible mission. 3 weeks had passed since the crisis ended. The research vessel Endeavour was now safely back in Coalition space, orbiting a space station where the crew could rest and recover. The ship's corridors were quiet again, filled with the normal sounds of a working vessel instead of emergency alarms. Dr. Emma Thompson sat in the observation lounge, looking out at the stars through the large window. She moved very carefully now, using a metal walking stick to help her move. Her hands shook slightly as she held a cup of tea. The damage to her nervous system would never fully heal, but she was alive. Kethvar, the senior Zen-3 medical officer, approached her slowly. His blue skin had returned to its normal soft glow, and his large black eyes showed something new, a deep respect that had not been there before. "Dr. Thompson," he said in his musical voice, "may I sit with you?" She nodded and gestured to the chair across from her. Kethvar sat down carefully, his tall thin body folding gracefully. "I have been thinking about your methods, your beliefs, your sacrifice," he began. "My people have practiced medicine for over 3,000 years. We have eliminated pain, perfected peaceful death, achieved what we thought was the highest form of medical care." Thompson listened quietly, her damaged hands steady around her teacup. "But after seeing what your team did," Kethvar continued, "I wonder if our advanced medicine is truly better, or just easier for the doctors." Through the window they could see the UHMS Mercy floating nearby, its white hull clean and ready for the next emergency call. The ship looked small and simple compared to the sleek alien vessels around it, but now everyone knew what it could accomplish. Your people named their medical ships Mercy, Kethvar said. When I first learned this, I thought it meant you showed mercy to suffering patients by helping them die quickly and without pain. But I was wrong, wasn't I? Dr. Thompson smiled slowly. The simple expression took effort because of her brain damage, but it was genuine and warm. We show mercy to hope itself, Doctor. When everyone else has given up, when the chances look impossible, when logic says to quit, that's when mercy becomes most important. Not mercy toward death, but mercy toward the chance of life. Even when that chance requires such sacrifice from the healers? Especially then. Thompson shifted in her chair, managing the movement with patient care. Every person on that ship, human, Zenthari, Corvani, had people who loved them, dreams they hadn't finished, things they still wanted to do. Who are we to decide their lives aren't worth fighting for? Kethvar's skin showed thoughtful color patterns. But the pain you caused during treatment, we saw patients crying, screaming during your procedures. That pain was temporary. Death lasts forever. Thompson's voice carried absolute certainty despite being weaker than before. We don't cause pain because we want it, Doctor. We cause necessary discomfort to prevent permanent harm. There's a big difference. And your team's sacrifice? Destroying your own bodies? Was that also necessary discomfort? Thompson was quiet for a long moment, watching as a small repair ship flew past the window. Dr. Hayes will be sick for the rest of her life. Park may never do surgery again with his damaged hands. Foster's immune system will never work properly again. Turner needs machine help for his kidneys now. And I. She touched her walking stick. I'll never again move through a medical bay with the speed I once had. Yet you would do it again, Kethvar said. It wasn't a question. Without thinking twice about it. Because that's what our ship's names really mean, Doctor. The UHMS Mercy isn't named for the mercy we show to dying people. It's named for the mercy we refuse to show to giving up. We are merciless toward the idea of surrender. A soft sound indicated an incoming message. Captain Mitchell's voice came through the speaker. Dr. Thompson, please come to the medical bay. We're getting a priority message from Coalition Medical Command. In the medical bay, they found all the alien medical staff gathered around the communication screen. On the display, Admiral Sarah Chin of the Coalition Medical Corps appeared, with officials from many different species standing behind her. Dr. Thompson, congratulations on your successful handling of the Endeavour crisis. Your methods have been carefully studied by the Coalition Medical Board. Thompson prepared herself for criticism. The human approach had saved lives, but it had broken many Coalition medical rules. Instead, Admiral Chin said something that surprised everyone. The Coalition Council has voted unanimously to request human medical ships for all Code Black emergencies from now on. We are also creating a new medical classification, Mercy Protocols for situations where normal medicine has failed. The alien medical staff looked at each other in amazement. Kethvar stepped forward. Admiral, the Zenthari Medical Consortium formally requests training exchanges with human medical personnel. We believe our different approaches can help each other. Similar requests came from the Corvani representatives and other species. The human approach had not just saved lives, it had changed how the entire galaxy thought about medicine. After the transmission ended, Dr. Thompson sat quietly in the medical bay where her team had fought their desperate battle. Her team members gathered around her, Hayes with her raspy voice, Park with his damaged hands, Foster with his weakened immune system, Turner with his kidney problems. All of them scarred and weakened, but all of them alive. Any regrets? Asked Dr. Hayes. Thompson looked at the beds where their patients had fought for life, at the simple equipment that had pushed biological systems beyond their limits, at her team members who had given everything for strangers. None, she said simply. This is why we became doctors. This is why our ships are called Mercy. Not because we show mercy to death, but because we show mercy to hope, even when hope seems impossible. Outside the window, the UHMS Mercy continued its patrol, ready for the next impossible mission. Throughout Coalition space, the white ships with their simple name had become symbols of hope, carrying crews willing to sacrifice everything for the belief that no life should ever be given up on. The aliens finally understood what human mercy really meant.